Joining me now from Texas is Scott Stewart. He's an expert in international security and VP of Tactical Analysis at Stratfor, a global intelligence firm. Well, the U.S. president said that this is going to be a long-term campaign. It's challenging, but we're up to the task. Encouraging words, but is he a bit too optimistic, as Leeling posed that question just moments ago?
I think that he's hit a lot of truth there. It is going to be a long campaign, and indeed there has been progress. I think that if we look back a year, the Islamic State looks quite a bit different, and their future looks quite a bit different from what it did a year ago when they were really on the rise, when they were gaining momentum. They've pretty much been contained. They haven't really been destroyed yet, but certainly they've lost the momentum that they had, and a lot of the glitter has gone off of the so-called caliphate.
Scott, do we really have a true picture, though? Because earlier this month, as I'm sure you remember, a number of intelligence analysts, about 50, came forward to say that their information was being manipulated by higher-ups to paint a rosier picture of the degrading of ISIL. Do we really know where things stand?
Well, everybody is on all sides are actually spinning it, as well as the Islamic State. A lot of what they promote in their propaganda is also intended to make the picture look rosier. But I think that when we see some of the independent voices coming out of places like Deir ez-Zor in Syria, out of Raqqa, out of Mosul, I believe that the picture they paint is much more bleak than what the Islamic State paints itself. So it does appear that they're having issues within their home world there, and they're certainly not able to move en masse and operate like they were in the past. They don't have the economics that they have in the past. The coalition has been fairly consistent at hitting their energy assets and the income coming from that. So they're really having difficulty, with their economy. They're having difficulty getting fighters in. We've had this report talking about the fighters, but when we look at recent events, we have seen indications of jihadis having problems getting into Syria through Turkey and having to divert to places such as Libya. So this is a long fight. There have been issues, but progress is being made.
Well, Scott, let's stick with those two themes. You know, the money, obviously, you need the money to carry out the campaigns. If the guys can't get there, that's also a big issue. We keep hearing about the bombing and the degrading, but how important are the two issues you just brought up? Because those are key, aren't they?
No, they really are. One of the things we have to understand, unlike a lot of insurgent organizations, or even like Al-Qaeda in the past, the Islamic State right now has declared itself a state. It's trying to govern. It's trying to provide services. It's trying to pay its fighters. It's trying to support the families. And that takes a lot of money. I mean, just even having the security forces and paying the security forces to police a city the size of Mosul is an incredible burden, and they're going through a very high burn rate of money every month.
Scott, let me ask you about Iraq's decision to basically they reached this deal to share intelligence with Russia and Iran in an attempt to actually take on the Islamic State in a more effective way. Obviously, the United States not very happy about this. This whole thing's creating some strange bedfellows, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. I think we need to recognize, first of all, the Russians have been in Iraq, for about a year now, providing weapon systems and training and maintenance on those weapon systems to the Iraqi regime, both in terms of ground systems and aircraft. So with them adding some intelligence liaison is not really a new dynamic. And really also, the Iraqis have been working very closely with the Iranians. And there's also obviously tension between the Americans and the Iranians. So I don't really see the inclusion of Russian intelligence into that equation changing what's going on. I really don't think it's going to, change how the Americans operate with the Iraqis in that arena.
Scott, we're going to have to leave it there. We've run out of time, but thanks so much for joining us from Austin, Texas.
Thank you, Mike.